I'm Anthony F. Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association are not only the Black Buddhist voice in America, we are the Black Buddhist voice of the world. And today we bring you another exciting Black Buddhist lecture. Now our lecture today is called Buddhism and Kwanzaa. Now we chose this topic, Buddhism and Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa is an African American celebration that started in 1966 and 1967. Now, one of the things that we do at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, we teach Buddhism inclusive of our Black history, culture, and language. Now, again, my lecture is called Buddhism and Kwanzaa, a Black Buddhist lecture. We who are proud Black Buddhists teach Buddhism based on the teachings of the 13th century Black Japanese Buddhist sage Nichiren Shonin. It is Nichiren Shonin who teaches us that the essence of the Buddhist teachings is the Lotus Sutra, and we're to only practice the Lotus Sutra. Now, the first thing that I want to do, I want to ask a question. You see, many white people have written me, and what they complain about, they say, why is it that you have a Black Buddhist sect? Don't you know that you are dividing people having a Black Buddhist sect or Black Buddhist teachers? Now, we at the Proud Black Buddhists would like to answer white people regarding this question, and we also want to teach Black people why it is important to have Black Buddhist teachers. The first thing that I can say to white people and others who teach Buddhism is that we as Black people can speak to other Black people better than a white person or any Asian can speak to Black people. We need Black people to speak the language or talk to other Black people. That's plain and simple. Now, those of you who are listening to this Black Buddhist lecture, please understand that Kwanzaa and Proud Black Buddhists are interrelated. Now, before I get deep, for the sake of some white people, there are Asians and those who have never heard of Kwanzaa. Now, Kwanzaa is an African American celebration that's going to be happening just after Christmas. Now, it began in 1966 and 1967. It was started by an Afrocentric or a Black history teacher by the name of Dr. Malana Karenga. Now, Kwanzaa is a celebration that has its roots in the Black nationalist movement in the 1960s and was established as a means to help African Americans reconnect with our African cultural and historical heritage, meaning to help African Americans. We do this by uniting in meditation and study of African traditions in a style called the New Zosaba, the 7 principles of African heritage. Now, Dr. Karenga said this was a communitarian African philosophy. Now, see, Kwanzaa was established to help African Americans to reconnect with their African culture and historical heritage. How does Kwanzaa relate to Buddhists or Buddhism? See, Shakyamuni Buddha taught the precept that Buddhism should be taught according to the customs of a region. This is what Nichiren writes in the Gosho. Now, this Gosho is called the Expedient Means and Lifespan Chapters. Now, this is what Nichiren writes about what Shakyamuni taught. And it reads, quote, When we scrutinize the sutras and treatises with care, we find that there's a teaching about a precept known as following the customs of the region that corresponds to this. The meaning of this precept is that, quote, so long as no seriously offensive act is involved, then even if someone were to depart to some slight degree from the teaching of Buddhism, it would be better to avoid going against the manners and customs of the country. This is a precept expounded by the Buddha. It appears that some wise men who are unaware of this point. Unquote. You see, many black people who practice Buddhism under Asians are either unaware of the point or they choose to disrespect the teachings of the Buddha Shakyamuni and allow whites and Asians to extricate all Black Buddhist history, culture, and language from the Buddhist teaching. You see, Buddhism is ancient Black history of the Africans of Asia. See, Kwanzaa is related to the teachings of Nichiren Shonin. You see, let's go into this and let's talk about Kwanzaa. See, the first day of Kwanzaa is called Umoja. See, Umoja means unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Now, Nichiren writes about this unity in a Gosho called Many in Body, One in Mind. It reads, quote, if the spirit of many in body, but one in mind prevails among the people, they will achieve all their goals, whereas if one in body, different in mind, they can achieve nothing remarkable, unquote. Now, the second Kwanzaa principle is called Kuji Shakalia. See, Kuji Shakalia, what that means is this: to define ourselves, name ourselves, as well as to create and speak for ourselves. See, this is a major principle of Kwanzaa, but it's also a principle of the proud Black Buddhists. The third principle of Kwanzaa is called Ujima. Now, Ujima means collective work and responsibility. That means to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Now, that's Ujima. In Buddhism, we call this the way of the Bodhisattva. See, the Bodhisattva means to do good, to help others. You see, so we get involved in our community, we get involved in our country, and we work to make a better, not only a better America, but we work hard to make a better world. Now, that's Ujima. Now, the fourth is called cooperative economics. That is to build and maintain our stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. See, this too is unity. Now, the fifth principle is called Nia. That means purpose. Now, to make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. See, we at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association fight hard to change the ghetto into greatness. Let me give you an example. I want you to look at this house. Now, this altar was made in Accra, Ghana. Everything in this house is an African heritage. It relates our African culture. It relates our history. When you look at the clothes I wear this is a kente cloth made in Ghana. So we support cooperative economics. We have created jobs, and we made our neighborhood better than what it is before we moved here. For example, I live in a Black neighborhood in Memphis called Orange Mound. Orange Mound is the first Black neighborhood in America that was built for Blacks by Blacks. In fact, in the movie hustle and flow. There were some young men just right in this neighborhood. They got the first Grammy Award for the song "It's Hard Out Here Being a Pimp." The Orange Mound hip hop group 3-6 Mafia found near a purpose in their own neighborhood. They didn't have to go out to some Oriental to look outside themselves. They looked within themselves and they found gold in their own backyard. They became the first hip hop group in America to win an Academy Award with rap music. They found this within inside themselves. See, this is how you do things. Like we in this house here, for instance, if you look at our house, we decided not to go outside of our community, but to look within our culture, our history, our language. And when you look at our house here, you look on the outside, you see the African carvings, you see the history, the culture. You walk inside this house and you see the Lotus Sutra doors. See, Buddhism is not outside yourself. Buddha exists within you. We all have a Buddha nature. And the sixth principle of Kwanzaa takes us to that Buddha nature. The sixth principle of Kwanzaa is called Kuamba. Now, Kuamba means creativity. It means to always, as much as we can, in a way we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. You see, the principle of Kwanzaa is a Buddhist principle, in that a Buddhist principle means doing good. It means coming into your community and building your community, making your community first rate. We don't have to look outside ourselves to find our dignity, our culture, our pride. We can find these things inside ourselves, and we can be the model for the next generation. I don't have to go to some Asia to find a Buddha or to find Buddhism. Buddha exists within yourself. Now, again, the sixth principle is called Kuamba, or creativity. It takes creativity to write these Black Buddhist lectures, but you find the creativity within yourself. And the last principle of Buddhism is the most important. You see, the seventh principle of Buddhism is called Imani. Now, the word Imani, it means faith in the language of Swahili. Now, and it says to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. See, our struggle in Buddhism is to fight the racism. Our Buddhist struggle is to challenge the Asians and whites who extricated all of our Black Buddhist history, culture, and language. You see, in the Go Show, the real aspect of the Gohanzan, it tells us an important, or teaches us an important lesson on faith. It reads, quote, "To have faith is the basis of Buddhism." Thus, the fourth volume of Concentration and Insight states, quote, "Buddhism is like an ocean that one can only enter with faith." Unquote. The fourth volume of Annotations on the Great Concentration and Insight explains this, quote, "With regard to the phrase, Buddhism is like an ocean that one can only enter with faith. Even Confucius taught that faith is first and foremost. How much more so is this true with the profound doctrines of Buddhism? Without faith, how could we possibly enter? The way to enter Buddhahood and to find the happiness that the Buddhist practice brings is to have faith. Have faith in yourself, have faith in your community, have faith in who you are, have faith in our nation. This is who we are as Buddhists. We are proud Black Buddhists, people who have faith. See, Buddhahood is not looking outside yourself. Anyway, let me bring this proud Black Buddhist lecture to a conclusion. We've covered the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Now, let me explain one of Black America's greatest benefits of becoming Black and proud. During my youth, we developed many things. And so when I was coming up, I lived in an area or a time to where we Black people found a sense of pride. And the first thing we did to challenge the racism was we began to be natural. We grew the natural hairstyles, we grew the big afros, and we began to show our history, our culture, because we was Black and proud, and we showed our natural hairstyles. And today, we are so proud that you can look into the Black community today, and we have the most beautiful and the most creative, the most dynamic hairstyles. We can look at Black women today. They don't have to be sitting, putting chemicals in their hair, trying to straighten their hair to be like white people or to make their hair straight. Or if they have the option to make their hair straight, that's good too. But what we have developed through our pride and through our history and through our culture and understanding who we are and finding dignity within ourselves, we got people now, beautiful Black women who dig inside themselves and come up with the most beautiful, dynamic, natural hairstyles. And I am so proud of that. That too is a part of Kwanzaa, finding our heritage, finding ourselves. We don't have to put chemicals in our hair. We don't have to have straight hair. Now, it's a choice, it's an option, but the most important thing is that now we have options. We can be proud of who we are. Now, when you deal with the hair or the locks, that is really the Buddhist hairstyle, because the original person that wore locks in their head, you can look at a Buddha statue and what you see is locks. You see braids because the Buddha was a brother and the Buddha put locks on his hair. Anyway, that was a group of people who traveled all over the world. They were called the Kushites. And many of us who practice Nichiren Buddhism, we got our Buddhist teachings from the Japanese. They taught us about Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. They taught us about Nichiren Buddhism. Now, in the original people of Japan, they're called Shonin people. Now, one of the tribes of people in Japan were called the Anu. The Anu and the Kushites are one and the same people. So, in fact, in Japan, the largest indoor Buddha statue in the world is in Japan. So we got our Black history in Japan, we got our Black history in China, we got our Black history all over the world. In fact, the original people of America was Black people. That's a whole different story. Anyway, we're going to close this lecture, Buddhism and Kwanzaa. I am Anthony Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, bringing you another Proud Black Buddhist lecture called Buddhism and Kwanzaa. Thank you very much.